Hello and welcome to the commentary for The Tomorrow People, the Medusa strain. I'm Nick Briggs, but what the hell, I wasn't in The Tomorrow People, but I have three people with me who were. So please introduce yourselves.
Well, we're all still here. I'm Peter Vaughan Clark, who played the character of Stephen Jameson.
And I'm Nicholas Young, played the character of John.
And I'm Philip Gilbert, played Tim.
Now here we are. This links into the
previous.
The Slaves of Jedekiah. That is Jedekiah as a robot. Yes.
And I think that's the spaceship that was made in the Thames Television canteen out of old polystyrene cups.
I think get a close of it.
I don't think they dared do a close-up. But,
looks quite good from here, actually.
Not bad, not bad.
Not bad.
And I think that spacescape used to be used in the old rank advertising thing.
That's right.
And also, I reckon, a matter of life and death, I'm sure.
There is actually a film of a travel through space, which we used quite a few times. It's rather fascinating, actually. It can help you to go to sleep if ever you suffer from insomnia. It's very dodgy that night, shaking. Can you see? But that's the one. And
that's
there's the polystyrene cup right in the middle there. Can you see it?
Yes, that is the cup.
Yes, that's it.
That's the cup.
And then Thames Television canteen on the back there.
So he was left floating around, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't look so burnt now. His head was on fire last time we saw him.
Well, of course, there's no atmosphere up there, so the fire's gone out, you see.
They've cleaned him up.
So they're getting their money's worth out of that. Amazing what you can do with a couple of old pens and a tin can.
Yeah, what's coming out here, then?
Well,
A probe, I think it was called.
Magnet.
Trust Tim to know the technical term.
he's been clamped.
You're being drawn in, you see.
Because nowadays they use it to refuel American jets over Afghanistan.
So yes, this is your past. Let's briefly, while this is going on, talk about what's happened since Peter.
Yes.
You're no longer acting, are you?
No, I haven't been acting
Since before the programme began.
Well, doesn't show much, does it? No, I gave up acting. Well, it gave me up, actually, when I sort of became an adult. And now I'm a lighting technician and work in theatres and do light design, lighting shows, light anything you want, really.
In the West End of
Oh,
London?
there is Dave.
Dave Prowse.
Dave
That's
Prowse.
Dave Prowse.
Dave, I mean, yes.
And that's Roger Booth on the right there.
Copper, you stupid.
Oh, yes. Dear Roger, I worked with him in Vienna.
I feel I should have drawn your attention to Dave Prowse's nipple.
Was he pierced?
There's something very strange going on with them. Have a look next time.
He did an advertisement called the Green Cross Code, which encouraged children to cross the road properly later on. And of course, he went on. Yeah, he actually played
Darth Vader.
Yes, exactly. So he cut his teeth, his sci-fi teeth, on the Tomorrow People. You see, so many famous people did. We've already discussed. Well, Pauline Quirk. No, we haven't discussed her yet, have we? She's in a later episode.
That's right. No, we haven't discussed her at all yet.
It's a sort of time travel thing.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
She went on
Was she in the Tomorrow People?
Certainly was, and she went on to do some ornithological programs.
Really?
She was in the Blue Lagoon.
Now, yes, I remember this. This was a game of three-dimensional chess.
Yes,
wasn't
that's right.
it? She could never understand the rules, so I beat her all the
Hey,
time.
that's not fair.
What's not fair?
You're trying to read my mind. I felt you.
I'll bet you
I
did.
didn't quite, when I first read that in the script, I thought, now, was that you tried to read my mind, I felt you? Or was it you tried to read my mind, I felt you?
Depends what she's doing under the table.
Well, exactly.
I
But
wonder
as
if
Tim's
Stephen
balls
did
aren't flashing, I
something
think we're probably okay.
I don't know. Come on, it's
You
your
wouldn't have allowed that sort of thing,
This
would
is
you, Philip?
no,
No.
this is getting a bit, you know.
story.
Well, it was at the time.
Would you like to put a stop to it?
Shook you?
This is what I would have called an illuminating game. I think.
Can be edited, I presume, all this.
Oh,
can
no.
it?
No.
What you say is what you
You
get.
seem very curious about it.
That what?
So is there
actually
anything you'd like to say at this stage then,
Nothing in
Philip?
space.
He's actually crying now.
You didn't see anything.
It was never established, actually, who John was into, if anybody at all, apart from himself, of course.
In hyperspace. All you ever get is a nasty white nothing.
Well, there's always a first time.
No, not in this case.
Don't be such a know-all.
I'm not a know-all. Look, you tell me, have we or have we not ever taken a photograph in hyperspace?
Well, no, but that doesn't mean to say we won't.
You never know. Never say never, John.
You sidetracked me on purpose.
Rubbish. Just a bad loser.
Want to make it the best of three?
Well,
Okay, Tim, I'm
that's a nice bit of character, wasn't it?
Yes.
I'm a bit of a genius in this, aren't I? I'm doing all sorts of things.
Oh, you're in the dark room there.
I'm developing.
I thought this was a U-boat movie and that you were the captain, looking on the periscope there.
Open the door, Tim.
Doesn't look a very light, efficient dark room, I must say.
Tim's giving
Oh, yes,
Stephen
manners.
a bit of a... Yes,
Manners,
Manners.
yes.
Manners, Stephen.
Manners maketh tomorrow people.
Hyperspace.
Very naff chairs, weren't they? Sort of stuff you'd find in a very second-rate office.
Second-rate TV studio.
Looks like a slightly bent nose there, doesn't it?
It's been in the wars, this ship. Yeah.
I think it has.
Were you talking about Peter?
No, I was talking about the flying cups, yeah. I think
They're
it looks damn
missiles.
good. If you didn't know that was a polystyrene cup, you'd be very impressed, wouldn't you?
Yes, I didn't know until you told me.
Draining too much power from your ship's circuits.
That was, who designed that, was it?
Harry Clark,
It
wasn't
was
it?
Harry Clark, yeah.
I
And he had the hots for one of the PAs, do you remember?
Yes, didn't we all? Well,
Yes,
I
well,
didn't.
no, we did,
In
actually.
retrospect, I did.
century is
Oh, I
this.
did.
Well, no, you did. You were of that age.
2,500. I think he had designs on her.
500 years. I have been adrift in space.
500 years?
100 years.
Yes,
I know it seemed a long time, mate. But
they're in the
Time
future.
Travel.
of course they are, yes.
It must
Silly
have
old
been
me.
invented by now.
What's been invented by now?
Time travel.
Oh, about 300
Which
years
is why
ago.
we keep mentioning the blue and the green as if we've already been talking about.
But isn't that the whole thing about time travel? If it existed, then we would have already been visited by
Absolutely.
somebody from the
You
future.
thought I was imagining it.
It's a very
Well,
trendy
wasn't.
cassette you've got there.
Come
Look
on,
at that.
Stephen, you can't be sure.
Yes, I can. This wasn't like the other stuff.
Except it's supposed to have a photograph on it.
Well, on that cassette?
I believe so.
Well, that's a silly idea. No wonder I couldn't develop it.
Your friend Ginge is
It was a part you were trying to develop, wasn't it?
Look, according to Tim, it is physically impossible for anything to exist in hyperspace.
Well, according to my dad, it is aerodynamically impossible for a bee to fly. You try telling a bee that.
Oh, yes, but we cracked that one since 1972. We know why now.
Why is that then?
Oh, I can't remember why. It's something to do with the rhythm of their wings. They're able to create some sort of a vacuum or some bloody thing. But apparently, it obviously is feasible, otherwise the thing would fall to the ground.
Oh, yeah. That's a shame.
Now, you see? Nothing.
The photograph isn't proof, John.
You tell me something that is.
I've got any proof that the
So,
evidence
Nick,
are in my
yeah,
own
your
eyes?
life after the Tomorrow People. Tell me something about that.
Have you got 30 seconds?
Starting now.
Every one of us passes through hyperspace.
Oh,
10
I
times
carried on
daily
doing
until
various
we're
things.
sure.
I did a
Well, at
dreadful
least let's check
film
this thing out.
in Iraq called The Great Question.
Really? In Iraq?
Yes,
I
in,
didn't know that.
in Baghdad. It was fascinating. They were at war with Iran at the time, and
Finding
there
your
were
feet down.
blackouts, and we had to
Yes.
fly in with all the lights
I
off the airplane and all that sort of thing. All quite
It
exciting
will
stuff.
take a
It was the
little
equivalent of
time.
some page
you're
in
such a
Iraqi
lucky
history was the equivalent of the Battle of Waterloo to them, I think, where they beat had a skirmish with the British.
Oh, now here we are.
Shape
An
change.
epic out of it.
Changed
Somebody
again.
Beasley, what's his name?
Who?
Yes, indeed.
Roger Beasley, was it?
Oh, you and I are going to do splendidly together.
The man with the beard.
The man with the beard. It looks
Roger
very
Beasley.
actorish, doesn't he? Looks very Royal
I'll show
Shakespeare.
you around the ship.
So why do you think that? Why did they recast Jedediah? Because obviously they've recast him in the same mould, really.
Only because he was a shape changer.
Shape changer,
I mean,
yeah.
I think I'm right in saying that Francis came back, didn't he? Later.
Yes, he does come back, yes. Because he ends up in rags.
Because he was. That's right. Because he was too good to waste.
Yes.
Very good
Hyperspace
character.
is still the best place.
But anyway, back to my career.
Sorry. Yes.
You cut mine short anyway, love, didn't you?
Yeah.
A
Well, I did
embarrassment
a
a
few
years
things
ago,
afterwards.
one of my
I
adventures
think I did
caused
one of those
destruction
BBC
to the
Shakespeare's,
and all its inhabitants.
Cymbeline.
All its inhabitants.
A mere 10 billion.
I don't know, quite a few things
It
really.
wasn't altogether my fault anyway.
But
but
you're an
one
agent.
explained.
I'm an agent now, yes. And I actually bought a couple of agencies, and quite a few of the actors in the Tomorrow People, including this fellow here, Roger Booth,
Far, far away.
and Francis DeWolf,
What is this?
and the Cyclops, were
It is.
represented by the agency that I
Disintegrator
bought.
cannon.
An arm?
So,
Did they do well?
It seems
what
a
as
pity.
actors? They were all
pity for
quite
a man
well-established
that goes and
character
lives
actors.
in
So
They were
Francis
jobbing anyway.
Francis DeWolf was a star
One
in
day
the
I shall
50s.
return to the past.
The past. 5 lost centuries.
And even John Woodnut,
It's
he
been
was
done before,
because I
you
bought
were
another
very
agency and he was
successfully at
with them.
One of the emperors
reckon
of
he plays a
ancient
Spydron
Rome
in
was
the
a
next-
wanted criminal from the 23rd
next part.
century. And A.C. Pritchard, a petty confidence trickster from 2400 AD, became quite well known.
I always find it
earlier
rather
on as
fascinating
Adolf
when
Hitler.
people,
How do you do it? How does one travel into years?
or rather,
before
I find it
being
fascinating how people foresaw the future in the past, if you see what I mean. their idea of how it's going to be. That's just the telephone box there on the left. Did you see that?
Mm.
One of those telephone booths.
This is a time key. It can open the time lanes that lead back to the
That's
dawn
rather
of
an interesting
man and
background
beyond.
noise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yes, it's working all right.
Into Moogs,
I
weren't
can't
they?
Yes, I was
operate
going to say,
Yeah,
move
because they were-
synthesizer there.
They were very, they were new then, weren't they?
Then we must get hold of one.
Trendy.
Did they get all these sound effects and things off stock records, or was there someone who
No,
made
that-
these noises for them?
I honestly don't know the answer to that.
I think they had, they made it themselves.
But you see that, even that's good use of a lens. They've distorted, made the whole set look weird
It's a fisheye, isn't it?
using a fisheye. And it's effective until they pull back and show you it's a fisheye and ruin the whole thing. And there we are, we've been upstairs again, wherever it
yes.
is.
They look like platform boots.
I
you're
don't even
wearing
remember
now.
how we got up there, actually. Presumably we just walked up the same way we came down.
That's right, we did. We just walk up the stairs and then, let's say, action, we come down again.
In hyperspace, you just
Now, you see, nowadays, they'd have thought about marketing a bit more, and that game would be on sale this Christmas, wouldn't it?
Confirm all circuits in
And you could probably also buy a Model T and have some balls hanging from the ceiling.
That's right, yes, a mini lab at home.
Christmas balls, yes.
Quite appropriate.
I bet you some kids made those when they were
Want me to show
younger.
Yeah. And, of course, a jaunting table you'd have been able to buy as well.
you? That's right.
Hey, Frankenstein, come here.
This is a doesn't matter transport, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's nice to know you got some.
Give it here.
Does look like a vacuum cleaner, doesn't it?
Dead for my neck up, that's you.
Oh, yeah? Well, come here. I'll shoot you dead in the neck.
Give us that, we've got to go. Are you ready, Carol? Whenever you are.
Now, he's just switched it off, hasn't he, to make it do that. So when you next use it, it won't work, will it?
It'll be flat.
Yeah, we'll be as good as gold, won't we, Kenny?
Sure.
keep a close watch on their coordinates.
You see, the writing's on the wall for Kenny. He's being left down again.
Yeah. I remember that trendy outfit I'm wearing there. That was a sort of blue siren suit, I think they call it. But it was made out of velvet, unlike the one Churchill wore. And you see there, he's standing very, very still while we do the rollback and mix. We hadn't really perfected the technique of moving about while people disappeared. That is a Christmas ball, isn't it?
The right one.
It's very festive.
Yeah, it's a shame actually, because if they just didn't show you that it was a fisheye lens, it would have been quite effective. Just because everything seems distorted, you know.
Very
They're doing it for
impressive
stylistic purpose,
Is it
aren't they?
useful?
But so much of it is so good, and it's a shame that it's been spoilt by the odd naff special effect.
Don't you think that adds to the charm?
No, I never did.
No, right.
Oh yes, that's because he was a collector, this guy, wasn't he? So presumably he's wearing an antique uniform, is that the idea? I never understood that at the time. I thought, why is he wearing an 18th century outfit and he's supposed to be in 500 years hence?
Do they still call themselves by that name?
Tomorrow people? That's a strange name. I don't think I've heard of that one.
I can see him doing something with this candle any minute. The one that's got a big line through the middle.
You think he cuts the top off,
I,
do you?
I think he could well do.
Circumcises the candle.
Yes, there's definitely something on that there.
Does look a bit dodgy, doesn't it?
The new man.
But presumably that's a collector's item as well, the candelabra is, or whatever it is.
They won't even defend themselves. All they
It looks like he's got a swastika on the back there, isn't it?
I don't think so, but it's something pretty close.
It is, isn't it?
whether or not wanted.
Yeah, you were right, here it
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah.
Oh, how pathetic. That was telepathetic.
And it wasn't even the bit I thought it was.
Listen,
Yeah, we're floating there.
there's someone here. I knew it, Carol. Come on.
Hyperspace has changed colour slightly, hasn't it?
Well, it's a...
Different season.
Yes.
Yes, you're right. Of course, cyberspace is all the rage nowadays, not hyperspace.
This is the ship's menagerie.
Now,
Take a look round.
does he capture Richard Spate?
Yes, he does, yes.
Oh, right, yes.
Yep.
Now, Richard Spate, we'll see him a bit
Not yet.
later, was the son of,
When I
is the
get out
son
of
of
this
Johnny
airless
Spate,
hell,
who
down the time
wrote
bench
Till
to
Death
my
Us
own
Do
green
Part.
planet. They
Lovely
filled
geezer.
with exotic specimens. I am a keen student.
Didn't like us very much, did he?
Species.
Who?
I trust
Johnny
I am
Spate.
I don't know. Did he not? Why
Well,
not?
because Richard stayed with me for a while, and because it was near a Thames
My
television.
most interesting
And his father didn't like that too much.
Were you a bad influence?
I was obviously a bad influence to a lot. So nothing's changed.
There he is, Richard,
There's Richard.
Spate.
Peter, enjoying your stay?
A boy.
Oh, not merely a boy.
A telepath.
Telepath. My most valuable possession.
Telepath, not a telepath. That's interesting.
The only telepathic boy
But he
in
did look
captivity
very
anywhere in the
effeminate.
universe.
And you are
He's
able
very
to
in touch with his feminine side.
Who was this? I can't
Were you in
remember.
touch with his feminine side? That's fine.
Well, I've yet to find out. That's Richard Spate, Philip.
I'm saying he's...
Oh,
yeah.
Richard Spate's son. Oh, yes.
Johnny Spate's
Johnny
son.
Spate's son.
Johnny Spate, yes. I worked with him several times.
You deserve to be locked up. Well,
He always looked a little, in this with his long hair, he always looked a bit like a dog, didn't he? Sort of sad face, doe-eyed.
Well, that was the fashion, I suppose.
Now, why
Everyone
was-
had that long...
Why was he collecting telepsychopaths? Why was he collecting telepaths?
Because he needs them to open the time lanes.
Oh, yes, of course. Glad
You did
somebody knows
ask.
what they're talking about. What's he got
Have
there?
we done our homework on this?
Their hamster he's got there.
It's a Medusa.
Oh, is it?
they could turn men into stone.
Oh, so is that the spider? No, I'm getting confused. That's a different story.
This is the thing that stops him from having telepathic powers, so that he can't get away.
And it grows to an enormous size at the end and becomes totally laughable.
And it wants to.
There it
There it
is.
goes.
See, that's pathetic. That is a pathetic effect.
That's so cruel.
That's,
but it
that's
is.
official, is it?
It's official, it's crap.
It's a dead octopus sitting on an apple, isn't it?
Oh yes.
That's all it is.
There is a full-size prop later that molests him.
That's right, yes. It actually does appear in the studio, doesn't it?
He's
I
sort
think
of
it's
wheeled around.
A lot of old tentacles, personally.
And while the Medusa stays near him, the boy cannot communicate.
No, I mean, that's exactly what I mean, really. He's spoiling it for the heap of the tar, as they say.
Forgive my asking, but why don't you get the boy to guide you down the time lanes?
Well, the boy doesn't like me for
It's a
some
question, I guess, of the writing. You know, whether there's no other way to solve that problem.
What, that special effect? But it's bad chroma key for a start. I mean, if it had been lit better, you wouldn't have seen the edges.
Pressure of time, perhaps.
Yes.
time you have
Pressure of money, I think.
And it was all early days, wasn't it, for all that kind of effects?
No, it was just...
Wasn't it?
It was just a bad effect. I remember thinking at the time,
Can you hear me?
a naff
Just
effect.
about. Telepathy's pretty bad today. Found your monster yet?
Yes. At least we had a small reaction from the life force counter.
Oh, well, perhaps a hyperspace bat passed you by.
Funny guy.
There was something, John
A
Ridd.
bit of banter here.
Yes, that's
You
right.
staying up there for a while?
Until we get a bit more reaction.
Slightly better close
Any
up there.
objections?
I'll be waiting.
How were you hearing the voices of people off doing the?
Bit of chroma key spill down his cosy there on the left. Look. How was I hearing the voices? I think just like that. I think they came through live, and we reacted to them.
Brainwashing. You keep a prisoner shut in the dark.
I think they had the other actor. Maybe you remember this, Peter. Were you in the other booth, or did they?
I think we just stood off stage,
Yeah, I think it was
and
live.
we just went live, and you heard it over some
I
monitors.
think that's right.
If he is ready for it. How long has he been shut up?
Oh, not long, about 2 months.
Now, is that 3 versions of Richard Spate, or is it supposed to be 3 different
Tried
people?
that on him,
I think it's all Richard,
but it didn't work.
Yes.
or the character Peter.
He's feeling fit to throw up by now, wouldn't you?
It looks like it. He's showing a bit of skin. as
Yes,
well.
I know. There is a lot of that in these episodes of them.
That's someone's fantasy, isn't it? Certainly. Certainly isn't mine, I hasten to add.
He may take the bait.
And there's old Beastly Beasley again.
Guide us down the time lanes.
And if he does, I know precisely
They
where I
won't be
want him to
drinking
take
that,
us.
will they?
No.
Suddenly it's too good for your teeth.
Swallow some dry ice.
I'm just wondering how they did that. Did they really spin him round on the
Yeah,
ground?
they did. They had a little revolve on the floor.
Did they?
Peter, I have come to help you.
Nobody can help me.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
I
you
can.
wimp.
I'm going to get us
Here's a
both.
book on how to act.
Are you a prisoner too?
In a way.
Yeah.
The time lanes are the only means of escape, Peter.
Yes.
I'd rather
So,
stay a
Philip.
prisoner.
Yes.
The art of time
After the
travel's
Tomorrow
sacred
People,
trust,
how are you?
and I won't abuse
I was all right. I did, I think,
Other telepathic lives.
what did I do? I did Pajama Tops at the Whitehall.
Fortunately.
The famous nudie
I know
show
important
that
things about your species.
Paul Raymond put on.
See,
Made
I
a
am not
fortune
from
for
this
him.
century.
In fact, he went on the
I
stock
am from
exchange
far, far away.
after that.
Past.
Did you remove your
The future.
clothes?
No, I
I
did
know
not,
things
although
that
I
not
was
even
asked
you
to.
can dream.
After we
My
got
sacred trust is
through
not
the
yours.
first night, which of course we didn't
All
know
I will
whether we
tell
were
you,
going to be
Peter,
arrested or
is
not,
that the future of your species
the
is
men
in
were
danger
not
while we allow Rabowski to roam in hyperspace.
told to strip off until
You're
after
trying to
we'd
trick
got away,
me.
and then
Peter,
Paul
we're
said,
both
well, why don't
prisoners.
you do it?
If you
So
and
there
I
was a
cannot
big
trust one
£36,000 swimming pool built into the stage, in which the nudies would
What would I
swim
have
from
to
one
do?
side of the theatre to
Take
the one
Rabowski
side of
down
the
the
stage
time
to the other. He thought
Take
it'd be
him as
wonderful
far
if
as
I
the
did the same
20th
sort of thing. but I wasn't keen on that sort of stuff. So he sacked me.
Oh.
And then he couldn't get anybody to replace me, so I went back at double my salary. So it was
a nice trick.
It stayed for about 18 months. Then it went on for about 10 years. It was an incredible success.
They said after the Tomorrow People your career could only go in one way.
And that
They
is.
were right.
So, you decided
And
to
then I
believe.
did a whole lot of
just to make
television,
sure, bring the
other
Medusa.
television.
Is that really necessary?
Went to Vienna with Roger, who was
Medusa
in the
doesn't stay here
shop
and
now.
will vanish in a flash. Won't you, my boy?
I'm afraid my career was back to front. I did much better stuff before the Tomorrow People.
Where should we go?
But,
Do you think that was down to typecasting?
To some swashbuckling era
what?
when men were men.
What was down to typecasting?
Well, that you didn't have such a good career afterwards.
I think it was 8 years of being in
Yes, I
in
think
children's television.
people thought you were dead, usually, if you
Yeah.
were in a series as long as that.
Well, being
don't
children's-
bother about him.
Being children's
He
television.
can't be still alive.
A lot of adults didn't see it, you see. But I did.
They are adults now, though, aren't they?
Electrical disturbance.
I did work with many of the greats for the Tomorrow People, people like Alan Bennett and Paul Eddington and Nigel Hawthorne, people like that.
What's that terrible noise? Tim, is there a malfunction?
That terrible noise.
It appears to have no traceable source, but I am working on it.
What noise? I can't hear no noise.
It's a kind of hum. You really can't hear it, Ginge.
Oh, I must get my ears tested.
It's getting louder.
Hey, perhaps it's the bogeyman coming to carry you away.
Ah.
Filling up with petrol by the look of it.
Yes.
Oh, they're years, are they? 1977.
Oh, that's when it was set, was it?
Can't take much more of this. Call Tim. Recall Tim. Jordan's back.
But we were actually making this in about 73, weren't we? 72 even. No, 72.
So
we
this
made
was
it.
the future.
Ah, right.
Punch up target area.
Can you remember what his great plan was?
Taking over the world's the usual one.
Yes, that's right.
It's rather fun.
I think we nicked the crown jewels.
Yes.
There we go.
Oh,
There we go.
yes. Dear me, that's all gone a bit strange, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
That soldier's been taking something.
That's right. All frozen in time.
That's it. Frozen while he nicks everything, isn't it? One of those dodgy lamps that you used to have in 70s homes.
He was a big boy, old Dave Prowse, wasn't he?
Yes, they've definitely painted his nipples, haven't they?
They have,
They've
silver.
dulled them down. Now, that guy was always playing that part, wasn't he?
Yes.
I wonder where they got those cheap crown jewels from.
Yeah, they were quite heavy security on those.
What, the props?
I remember. Well, they're quite expensive.
Now, wait a minute. Surely if time has stood still, that thing shouldn't be moving, should it?
What shouldn't be?
Background.
That's a very good point.
Goodness, that noise has stopped. I thought it was
Well,
going
it shouldn't be a shadow.
John,
Why are we frozen in time and they're not?
We've been in hyperspace,
what's wrong?
so we were away from it all.
Come here.
Yeah, but you see, the lab shouldn't have carried on moving, should it?
Well,
Turn it up, you lot. Kenny, wake up. There's no time for jokes now.
You see, again with computer graphics now, you'd have been moving around us. You'd have had a moving camera shot going right the way around us.
absolutely.
In those days, you had to rely on dodgy acting to keep extremely still.
Oh, stop panicking.
There she is with top billing.
Top billing again. Oh, look, they've made my name in the middle.
Roger Beasley.
Yes, you were right.
Philip Gilbert, does that say? Yes.
The boss.
My billing improved later on.
The Medusa, Norman, I remember him. Well, we haven't seen the Medusa yet, have we?
Not yet, no.
That's interesting. Unless he was inside that very small prop.
So who directed this one? Roger Price.
Yes.
I'd forgotten that Roger. I've always said that Roger wrote 66 out of 70, but actually these early ones he wrote in conjunction with
Oh,
Brian
Finch, Brian
was it?
Finch, yeah.